Good evening. I'm Scott Binsack, and thank you for joining me. Tonight, I'm going to be discussing truth or dare, daring to face the truth within. This is a serious topic for me, the word truth. And I think one of the hardest things for anyone to do is to face the truth, whether it's within themselves, within the world, and within others. The key here, and I know because I've had to face the truth about myself many times in my life. But the key here for me is this word truth. Should we always tell the truth? In certain circumstances, I don't think we should. And I've done a lot of research about this over the years because I've been in several traumatic situations where the truth did no good. However, I'm a believer that the truth will set you free because eventually the truth will come roaring back. So in this show, it's like threefold, fourfold here, because I'm going to be discussing truth within your love life, truth within your own life, truth in the world, meaning what you see and what you take in every day and what you would conceive to be the truth. Oscar Wilde said it best, I believe. Sincerity is a dangerous thing, and a great deal of it is absolutely fatal. What he means by that is, let's say you're in a relationship, you're married, you're in a relationship, whatever, your loved one, your lover, or it could be your family member, it could be anybody. If you're having a bad day and your husband asks you, did you miss me when he gets home from work? And you really didn't miss him. Are you going to tell him, I didn't miss you? Or are you going to tell him, yes, I did miss you, honey? Not that you don't love him, but you may have enjoyed that he had a peaceful day without him being in the house. So you truthfully and honestly didn't miss him. So sometimes being too sincere can hurt the other person. Is that not being truthful? It is not being truthful. But in that sense, I believe it's in a good sense. Because why hurt somebody else's feelings when you still love them? You just were like, okay, I didn't miss you today, hon. By the way, let me tell you that. What's going to happen? What's going to happen? It's going to cause an argument. You didn't miss me? A nice, peaceful day. And you do it. Everybody does it. It's like relatives. You see them at gatherings. Oh, hi, how you doing? Oh, I missed you. Love you, blah, blah, blah. And maybe you can't stand them. So, is that a hurtful thing? Meaning, is that a bad thing? I don't think so. I think it solves a lot of problems because if you were too sincere, it would be fatal. You see a relative you haven't seen in a while that you can't stand, and you tell them, hi, how you doing? I can't stand it that you're here. What's going to happen to that whole engagement with them together? You're going to have a mess. It's going to be, the family feud, and everybody knows how family gatherings go. So I think it's better off not to be too sincere in certain situations. Or we'll just say your girlfriend and your wife, they ask you, how do I look? And maybe they look a little crazy and they're not dressed super great, but you're not going to tell them, by the way, you look horrible. You're going to say, honey, you look sexy. You look great. Beautiful. Even though you may not agree with how she looks, in order to avoid the situation. So sincerity, in that case, too much of it would be fatal. Now, within ourselves, this is a big one for me Because, how should I say? People do things on a daily basis to avoid facing the truth within themselves. And this is fatal, because until you face the truth about yourself and your issues, you will never be able to move forward with any self-improvement, period. And we all self-improve, should be self-improving every day and be working on that. But facing the truth within is a tough one. It was a tough one for me in many situations. And I believe it's the hardest. I believe it's truly the hardest. And we'll do things to avoid facing the truth about ourselves. And that's where it can get even more fatal. Our behavior can become outrageous just to hide the truth about ourselves. We will argue with people and deny and deny. Mostly we're denying it to ourselves. I was in a very serious situation that started in 1999. And the word truth is key to it. And very soon in my video biography, I'm going to be sharing all the details of it. Because the truth is key to this situation. But because of that situation, I had to face the truth within myself. And for a long time, I wanted to live. I mean, I've done shows on denial. So denial comes into facing the truth within ourselves. It's tough. It's tough. And we will act out, even in childlike behavior, to not face the truth within ourselves. It's like an alcoholic. The first thing that an alcoholic has to do is face the truth about themselves, that they are an alcoholic. Until they do that, you'll see their behavior is like crazy. It's like a drug addict. It's like someone who fails to deal with issues from childhood or other issues about themselves within maybe, it can be many, many things. But facing this truth is very, very difficult for many. We have to accept the responsibility to accept the truth within ourselves. Because until you do, you'll never be able to face the truth or accept the truth about anyone else or anything else, really. Because it all starts within us. People who are self-centered, self-gratifying, spoiled, they never want to face that. People never want to face that truth about themselves, being a very self-centered person, or me, the me attitude. They have a lot of truth to face within themselves. So any self-improvement must begin with you facing the truth about yourself. Any issue that you have to face. And no one wants to do that, because that means that you think in your mind that you're flawed. If you have issues, you're flawed. It's like someone taking psychotropic medications. I don't want to take medications. I don't need medications. I don't need medications, but yet they might be a manic depressant. And they need some type of medication, even if it's temporary, to help them out of that problem. They refuse to face that. I can't take, because why? I can't take that medication. I can't take it. I don't need that medication. I don't need it. I don't need it. And yet they'll sit there every day and be manically depressed, and their world doesn't go anywhere. It stays right there. And no matter how many people come to them and tell them and point it out to them, they refuse to see the truth about themselves. And I'm sure you know friends, loved ones, anybody that you could point out the truth to them, and they will refuse to accept it. And most of them will get, crazy about it. Wow, why are you saying that to me? I don't need that. Look at yourself. Then they'll go, well, what about you and this? They'll throw it all back on you. It's like a child expects things to come easy to them. A mature person knows that you have to face the truth and act in accordance to change that reality about yourself. Maturity. Being mature is facing the truth within yourself. All of this requires you to accept responsibility for every action in your life. And facing this truth is, like hard. I found myself in a situation that I never ever thought I would be in. Never in my entire life did I think I would be in it. And it happened when I was basically 30 years old. And 29 actually. But facing that reality, just that it happened, was very difficult for me. Forget about what it was about. Forget about anything. It was very, very difficult for me to face that it happened. Not that I did it or didn't do it or caused it or didn't cause it. The fact that it happened, period. And one day, I was at my lowest. And somebody came to me, a complete stranger, and said, Scott, you must accept the reality of where you are and what happened to you. You have to accept that responsibility and face the truth. Because a lot of times when we don't want to face the truth within ourselves, we create our own thoughts to cover that up. And they're not real thoughts. In other words, it's like when someone dies sometimes. People don't want to believe that they're dead or that they left them. And they start to say, they blame others for it. And death is a natural thing, regardless of when it happens, what time, place, circumstance. It happens. So here I am in this situation, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. And I started acting out, and I was angry. I was hurt. I was angry. I was confused. I was like, how did this happen to you, Scott? How did you get here? What brought this about? And I had to face the truth within myself that I created the situation, regardless of, and that's the key here. We all create our own situations. We all create our own paths and our own destiny, unless it's something that is just out of the blue or out of the ordinary. Like I've said in other shows, you walk into a bank and you're there to deposit some money, and all of a sudden the place starts to get robbed and you end up with a gun in your face. Obviously, you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. But 99% of everything we do, we create. It's a creation of what we think, what we believe, and thus what we attract. And thus the truth within us. And I had to accept the reality of this situation and where I was before I could do anything to correct it. And that's the key here. You cannot self-improve yourself unless you face the truth about yourself. Serious stuff here, but very simple, actually. It's very simple. One, you start out by saying, Don't worry about what other people think of you. See, this is the key. Don't worry about what anybody else thinks of you. You have to worry about what you think of yourself inside, and thus you have to face any dark issue you don't like or the truth about you. You might have issues. We all have issues. Everybody has issues. Not we might. We all have issues. So you have to face them one at a time. And the truth within. Don't act out on it on the outside with ridiculous behavior and be immature about it. Be mature and face it, no matter what it is. Maybe you're lazy. You don't want to face it that you're lazy. Well, face it. If you're lazy and you know you're lazy and you're sitting on the couch every day and you don't have a job or you need to get a job or you get up, face it, go to the mirror, admit to yourself you're lazy, find out why you're being lazy, admit the truth to yourself, and do something about it. Don't lie to yourself every day. And we've all been there and we all do it. Don't lie to yourself every day about anything. As I explained in the beginning, there's times when full sincerity can be fatal, but not to yourself. Never to yourself. You want to be 100% sincere with the person you're looking at right here in the mirror, this person right here. You want to be 100% sincere to yourself. Because if you're not, you cannot be sincere to anyone else in life, meaning any companion, your job, marriage, friends, it doesn't matter. If you can't be sincere to yourself, you're not going to be sincere to anybody else. And don't tell me any differently, because it's impossible. Because you can't be fully sincere and love somebody else if you don't love yourself. And if you love yourself without dealing with the truth within, then what is that? That's fake love. It's a farce. It's an imagination that you created in your own mind to cover up your own flaws and thus the truth about yourself. And so you like to live in this world without facing the truth within. And then, if you can't accept the truth about yourself, how do you expect to accept the real truth that you see every day in your life and in the world? And that's the problem today. That's the third part of this show that I'm going to get into, is why is it so difficult for people to face the real truth and not what they want to believe? I believe it's very sad today that people will follow more drama than they will positive in the news and in life and on Facebook, and it doesn't matter, everywhere. That's sad. And I know this firsthand, because you can put the truth out all you want. Put it out there. Put the truth out there. Put the truth out there. One person's going to look at it for really what it is, especially if they're true to themselves, and they'll say, okay, this is the truth. Where another person's going to look at it and go, nope, can't be. That person's a bad person. Can't believe the truth. It's like, and it's sad, how many men and even women have been convicted in this country for crimes that they didn't do. Now, that's not the point of this show. The point I'm about to make with that is that some of these individuals fight for half or majority of their lives to prove their innocence, and they present the truth to everybody. Everybody, including a judge, a jury. So, I mean, they don't want to see the truth. Nope. The media gets a hold of it. They present that person as a bad person. They did this, this, and this. You're convicted in the media before the facts, i.e. the truth, even get put out there. And people believe that over what the real truth is. And it's very, very sad. that human beings will condemn one another before all the facts are even known. And thus again, this is the truth. The word, the truth, and the truth within. And I ask you, why do you think that is? Why do you think that people can't face the truth within themselves? And why don't you think people want to see the truth in the world? And I'm not talking about everybody, but a large majority of the people do not like to see the truth. You could show them in black and white, full evidence. This is this, this is this, this is this, and they will still refuse to believe it. Again, it comes back to one thing: the truth within themselves. If you're not true to yourself, and thus about your issues, and there has to be some issue that blocks you from seeing or looking even for the whole truth about a situation before you judge or condemn someone. Friends, family, people in the public, it doesn't matter. Just because it's said doesn't mean it's true. And here we go back to the word truth. Integrity is very rare today, and it's very sad. Very, very sad. And integrity to oneself is even rarer, because I believe people like it that way. I believe it's more comfortable for people not to face the truth within themselves. And I know because I've been there, and it was more comfortable not to face the truth about myself with many issues. And we all have issues. We all have issues. And if you're watching this and you say you don't have any issues, then you're not facing the truth within yourself. Everybody has issues, and everybody has to work on them every day. Everybody does. The choice is yours. The choice is yours. Are you going to be immature and not face it? Are you going to live in a fantasy world and believe everything's okay when it's not okay, and thus wear rose-colored glasses? Or do you take off the glasses, look at yourself, look at your life, and thus the truth within, and face the truth? If you're using dishonesty within yourself to avoid or escape the truth, then where do you go from there? Where are you then really in your life? Where are you? How are you even living? How are you even, really living your life for what it is meant to be, and the lessons you're meant to learn, and the happiness you're meant to have while you're here? Because life's like a vacation. You're born, you live, and then you die. So it's like you get on a plane, you go on a vacation, and then you got to get back on the plane and go home. Are you going to hide the whole time while you're on vacation and live in a fantasy world? Or are you going to do something with your life? You're going to do something with yourself. And thus, when you're truthful to yourself, and when you're truthful with yourself, and then you see the truth about others and really find out the truth and look for the truth and integrity in others, then you can make a difference in the world, and you can make a difference to others around you. And a major, major difference thus to yourself, and then it ripples to everybody else. And again, it all starts within us. Don't use escapism, thus something that's not real, to avoid facing the truth within yourself. And don't be so sincere to people you love that you hurt them and that you destroy them, because a kind word goes a long way. So when they ask, did you miss me? Even though you may have not have, say you did. You're not hurting anybody but yourself and them by not saying that. So you see the differences here between being sincere to thyself and then sincere, not too sincere to others. And then when you understand this great truth, you then will be able to see the truth in the world around you. And it's not nice. And see, that's the other part of this show. And it goes right hand in hand with what I said about the truth within you. No one likes to see the we'll use the words ugly. You don't want to look at the bad things within yourself. And no issue's bad. In other words, it's never a bad thing. You may think it's bad, but in reality, when you face it and deal with it, all it is the simple truth about yourself, and it's an issue and it can be solved. I believe there's a solution to every problem and thus every issue within ourselves, if you really, really want to fix it. You have to fix yourself before you can fix anybody else and thus the world. I watch people every day on Facebook and all over the internet complain about our government and our president and you name it, all different things, and drama and this and drama that. They complain about everything. I guarantee you they never face their own issues, have never faced their own issues in the mirror. Complain all you want, because guess what? All that complaining is going to get you nowhere. Nowhere. Face yourself first. Face your own issues first. Face the truth within. Then you want to solve a good cause? Stand up for it. And I don't mean by running your mouth on the internet. Do something about it. Because once you have faced the truth within yourself, then you become secure with yourself. And then you can move mountains. You can move mountains for good causes that you want to go after. But until you fix this cause right inside of you and face that truth and not cover it up with childish behavior, immature behavior, or anything else, you're going nowhere. You're spinning your wheels. And you're putting static out in the world with all your complaining and all your everything that you're doing. I love it. People think that the world is, and here's about facing the truth. If you face the truth about the world we live in today, it's an ugly place. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of good people that do a lot of good things. But overall, it's an ugly place. It's very hard for people to live today. The powers that be are getting richer. As everyone, we all keep struggling and feeding it. But yet, out of fear, and thus facing the truth, people do nothing anymore. They just complain and complain and complain. And don't get me wrong, some do make very good, honest efforts at trying to change things, and some people do change things. But the powers that be don't want you to face the truth. Because if you do, and I know people watching this that know what I'm speaking about, if you face the truth, you would be furious. You would be furious at what's going on and how it is affecting you and your family in the world today. And that's about the truth. It's easier to live with rose-colored glasses in your own little world because it's safer to you than to live with the real truth. And I don't blame you. I did it too. I don't blame you. But it's not a good way to live. It's not a good way to live at all. It's not a good way to live. Being true to yourself, and thus everything else that goes on around you, is key to self-improvement. Key to moving forward in your life and achieving more and learning lessons and going to the next step and the next level of your life. Don't just go in circles. Don't just exist. Live. And it irks me how people cannot face the truth. God, does it irk me. It's like, oh, you could show it to them and show it to them and show it to them and show it to them, and they'll still live in this denial and in this place. And then they get all crazy and start arguments and say, there's no way. And then they lash back out at you and cause issues and more drama for you in your life and this, all because they don't want to face the truth within themselves or about the world around them and the true issues going on around them. But it all starts within us, and thus you facing the truth within yourself. All of us facing the truth within ourselves. And it doesn't stop. Self-improvement goes on every day. It's like success. Once you're successful, it doesn't stop. It goes on every day and every day. That's what people teach how to be successful. The first thing you need to learn about being successful is once you reach your first goal, i.e. in like success of that goal, it does not stop. Success overall is a daily goal for everyone. Getting up out of bed, making an effort and doing something to change your life and yourself and provide and help others, you're a success. Facing the truth within yourself every day, it's like someone who, and I hate to use the word diet, but people who I'm not fat. I'm not fat. I'm not fat. That's what they'll say every day. So that they can stuff their face, and don't take this the wrong way because it's true, and I've been there. I've eaten things I should never have eaten, tons of it, and obsessed with it and been through it all. My point being is, it's like, I'll just eat a little bit of this. I'll eat a little bit of that, McBowl's, a little bit, big bowl of ice cream. Yet then they'll complain the following day. I'm fat. What's the truth there? What is the truth there? The truth is, you have an eating problem. And maybe you don't exercise and you're obsessing and overeating of certain types of bad food. Like most people, we all do. But the truth is, you hate being fat. And the truth is, you need to change yourself to not keep eating bad food that will make you fat. And even more truthful, you need to exercise and do healthy things for yourself. And face that and then do it. You can't just sit back and do nothing every day and expect things to change. You can't expect to not look at yourself in the mirror and look at the truths within yourself and in your soul and not change and not be able to change. You have to look at yourself. You have to look at the truth. You have to look at the truth. It is the first step in self-improvement. And once you look at it, then you have to accept it, no matter what the issues are. And there's nothing wrong with having issues. We're all human. That's part of all this. That's part of life. But to live a successful life within yourself, you have to face yourself. You have to face the truth. You have to. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You have to face the truth. You're psychologically, and as I just said in the case of food or other issues, you're psychologically or physically damaging yourself by not facing the truth. And I did it. I know. And I have to still work on it every day. Anything, any issues that I faced. And once you overcome them and once you face them and thus overcome them, then you can begin your self-improvement, meaning the first step is to face the truth. If you're miserable, then look in the mirror. It's not because of your husband or your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your job or this or that or whatever. You're there in that marriage, that relationship, that job, that is because you chose to be. Don't complain about it now. If you chose it, and thus there's a reason why you're there, and there's a reason why you're complaining about it. There's some truth within yourself that you need to face. Maybe you're too lazy and you don't want to get a new job. Maybe you're too afraid to get a new job. Maybe you're afraid to leave your husband or your boyfriend. Or maybe you're afraid to move on. That's the truth then. And you have to ask yourself, after you identify it, okay, you tell yourself, okay, I'm afraid. This is my problem. I'm afraid to do this, or I'm comfortable here at this job and I don't want to work any more hours, but I can't stand this job. Go look for a new job. You have to face within yourself why these truths are there. It's that simple. And do it. Don't talk about it. I can't stand that either. Everybody. I'm going to do this tomorrow. I'm going to do this tomorrow or the next day or next week. And it never happens. Do it now. You start now. You start immediately. There may not be a tomorrow, number one. And number two, that's procrastinating. Stop procrastinating. Real simple. Sit down and write down the truths about yourself. Your issues. Write them down. Put them on a computer. Put them on a sticky note. Put them anywhere so you look at them every day and you face them. When you go to the mirror, you look in the morning every time you brush your teeth. Excuse me. I apologize. Every time you look in the mirror, put them there. Put them there. You might have addictions. If you have addictions, face the truth within yourself that you have the addictions and then seek help to fix them. But until you can't self-improve until you face the truth within yourself. If you're an alcoholic, admit you're an alcoholic and then go to the next step. And you know what? I was addicted to cocaine when I was younger because my family, I was abused as a child, as I talked about on other shows. I was fed cocaine from the age of 5 to like 15, 16. And then I stopped it. I just stopped it myself. And then in my 20s when I became a self-made millionaire. It was around everywhere in New York. Everybody was doing coke, this, bop, bop. It was everywhere. I started to do it again. And I had to, and I remember the day. I'd been up all night. It's a horrible feeling. And I promised myself, I hated that drug. I hated it. I hated it because it was given to me as a child, and it was the worst times because of the abuse I went through while on that drug. And I don't care using that drug or not. As a child, it was. So when I did it, and when I got older in my 20s, after I had left home, and I stopped it, I looked at one day, it was, I don't know, 5:30 a.m., 6 a.m. in the morning. And I had been up all night with friends partying. And there I am in my bathroom, and I'm like, I actually put my hands on the sink, and I was putting water on my face, and then I looked up. And I'm like, Scott, what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And I had to admit to myself I had a problem. And I did, right then and there. And then I stopped. And I stopped. And that's why I don't believe where people constantly use things as a crutch, that they can't stop, that they can't do this, they can't do that. You can do anything that you want. Your mind is that powerful that you can do anything that you want in your life. And thus begin with facing the truth within. It's up here. It's not with everybody else telling you with this, that. It's in your own brain. Our brains are that powerful. You can fix anything, believe it or not. Any problem, your brain can come up with a solution. It can even medically help you fix many issues within your health just by believing that you're okay and you're going to be better and that, etc. And I don't mean living in not facing the truth. If you have cancer or you don't, you face the truth that you have an illness, but then you psychologically use your mind to help deal with it and fix it. And the mind is very, very powerful. Very powerful. People do many activities to face the truth. Many. I'll give you an example. People with psychological problems, and I shouldn't use the word psychiatric, psychological, same thing basically. People who are, like I said, bipolar, manic depressants, have anxiety. Most people self-medicate themselves because they refuse to face the truth within. So a lot of times people with anxiety, they'll self-medicate themselves by smoking pot, drinking alcohol, etc., because that eases that anxiety and that issue. Instead of facing that they have an anxiety problem and then seeking the proper help to fix it. So they use the negative, and it's debilitating behavior, because when somebody has a serious problem and they keep, like anxiety, they'll keep drinking alcohol or smoking pot or whatever. And I'm not saying there's anything bad about social drinking, smoking marijuana, etc., on a social basis, and not an addictive, meaning constant have to have it to solve a problem. It's like medical marijuana use, very prominent, very important. Hemp cures a lot of things. I'm talking about people who just refuse to face because they don't want to tell themselves, they don't want to believe that themselves that they have a problem. And millions of people have depression. Millions and millions of people have depression or anxiety or bipolar disorder, as they classify these issues. I know I have anxiety, and I deal with it. And not by alcohol. I deal with it. So you have to face the truth. You're harming yourself by not facing the truth within about yourself. And it's self-destructive. And again, I know I've self-destructed myself many times. I had to get back up. Wouldn't it be easier just to face the problem, face the truth, see the truth for what it is? People love drama, and I'm really beginning to believe people love drama within themselves, because they use that as a mask by getting involved in other people's issues, so that they can mask their own truths within, and thus their own issues. So they like to create drama for others. They're miserable, and they're miserable within themselves. Jealous, hatred, you name it. It's there. Take control of your destiny. Take control of your life and face the truth. And if you're wrong, admit you're wrong. Take responsibility for your actions. I've had to take responsibility for for all of my actions. And I'm publicly taking responsibility for my actions in every one of these shows. And that helps me because I want to take responsibility for my actions and face the truth within. I just want everyone to understand that you can live this great life, that you can be whole and one with yourself by facing the truth within yourself. And you're no good to anybody else unless you're true and love yourself. And that's part of it. That's the key. You will never be able to do self-improvement. That's why people start to do all these things. They'll take these courses or see psychologists and see all these things without ever just facing the truth within themselves first. Then you seek the help. You have to face the truth within yourself. It's no, as I said earlier, no ifs, ands, or buts. Face the truth. And the truth could be very ugly. I know. But wouldn't it be easier just to face it head on, admit it to yourself, and then correct it? And then also part of this is you have to forgive yourself if it's some type of action that you did that you don't want to face that was harmful to somebody else. And thus you don't want to take responsibility within yourself and face the truth about it within yourself. Because that's key. Once you face the truth about whatever issue it is, you have to then forgive yourself for whatever you have done to others, to yourself, to your family. It doesn't matter. So that you can also then move forward. But you'll never be able to self-improve unless you face the truth within. Never, ever, ever. And I'm telling you, I know. And soon everyone's going to know everything about my life. And I want it that way. I don't have anything to hide. And I faced the truth a long time ago. And I face the truth every day. And if I have an issue that comes up, I'm my own worst enemy because, I shouldn't say enemy, I'm my own worst critic when it comes to that. And I want people to say, you know what, Scott, you're doing this or doing that so that I can fix it. Now, make sure that you don't listen to others trying to point all these things out to you. You have to look within yourself. And you know what your issues are. You know what they are. Write them down and face with them one at a time. You don't need somebody in your ear going, you know, you got this problem and you got that problem. You need to change for this. You need to change for that. Look, they got issues themselves. So how are they supposed to fix you? And you know the people I'm talking about. The judgmental ones. The ones that always have something to say and put their 2 cents in. Especially family members as well. Now, don't get me wrong, you can get great advice from some family members, especially the older ones, mothers, fathers, grandparents, etc. But even then, in some cases, you are the only one who knows your true issues. It's like someone who's addicted to porn on the internet. Most people don't, nobody knows about that but that person because they keep it a secret. And if you got an issue with that you're addicted every day, every hours, every day, you got to watch porn on TV, I mean on the internet, then you got a problem you got to face because that's not a good, and don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with sex or that's not what I mean. Anything done to the extreme, anything done to the extreme is no good. Anything. Things done in moderation and correct amounts, we're good. But the minute you start to see that get out of control, and you're the one that usually sees it first and then hides it, we're the ones that see it first and then we hide it by other behaviors. And sometimes it does take someone else to point that out to you. But when they do, don't lash out at them. Just tell them, okay, thank you, and I appreciate your, appreciate best friends, whatever. Be very careful on that borderline there, because a lot of people are trying to hide their own issues by trying to fix yours. Remember what I'm telling you. Take control of your life. Be responsible. Be responsible. Because you're no good to nobody else if you don't face yourself and the truth within yourself. And it can be very painful, so don't think it cannot be. But accept it. You're strong enough. We all have the power to endure, to survive, to adapt, to fix, to change. But it's like leading a horse to water. No one's going to change unless they want to. And thus, as I'm saying to you, facing the truth within yourself. And I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you, been there. And I'll never forget that day. It's the biggest reality I ever had to face in my life. It was like waking up in hell. It was like waking up in hell. And that's what I did. I woke up and I looked around and I was like, it was so traumatizing. And I tried to do, subconsciously, and that's what we do. Subconsciously, we try to cover up our faults and our realities within. And I had to accept this reality because I couldn't self-improve or thus in myself and then thus fix this reality without facing it first, and thus the truth. And it was horrible. After everything I achieved in my life and everything I've been through in my life. And I was like, Scott, and I'm going to stay straight. How the fuck did you end up with this situation here, now, right here, and where you are? It's the hardest truth I ever had to face. But once I did, everything changed. Especially the peace within myself. And thus I was able to change, self-improve, and then change that situation and fight. And move forward, as I said. You have to face yourself, the truth. Don't pull, I didn't do this, I didn't do that, I'm not this problem, it's not my fault, I don't care, I don't do anything wrong, da 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 da. We all do everything wrong. Nobody's perfect. Don't kid yourself. And if you're watching this thinking you don't have any issues within yourself and no truths to face, there's the first one you need to face. Because the truth is, we all do. We all do. So, take control of your destiny. And it's true, we're all in control of our own destinies. Take control of it by taking control of you. Here, the truth. And you're not going to like the truth. Most people don't like the truth. And this is the problem, but you got to face that truth. Oh, it's here. It's right here. This is the truth. This is where I am in my life. This is my current situation. How did I get here? Could be the truth. I'm a drunk. I'm a drug addict. I'm in a bad marriage. I don't want to be in this marriage. I don't love my husband. I don't love my boyfriend. Whatever it is. You could put I'm a procrastinator. I'm lazy. Whatever. They're all there because we all have these issues. Everybody has issues. So don't be afraid. Hit it head on. Face the truth within. Cut the bullshit. Get it done. You only live once. Do you want to live in a dream that's like BS with the glasses on? Or do you really want to see what you're made of? What you're supposed to be, what God put you here for? Because until you do that, and until you truly face yourself within, you're never going to know what your true purpose is here and what your true destiny is, because you're going to be walking around in the clouds. And all the really important good things are going to go right by. And the next thing you know, you're going to be old, usually probably alone, and or you're going to be dead, never having accomplished what you were sent, purpose to be here is, and your life will be gone. You will be old. And you're going to sit back then and go, I wish I should have done this, and this. The first thing you wish you should have done is face yourself. Face the truth. And then, after you start to face the truth within yourself, you'll self-improve, and then you'll be able to face the truth, the reality of what's going on around you. Everywhere. It'll be like, once you clear all this up, you're unstoppable. You are unstoppable. So do it. Get it done. Good night. God bless.